Come with us now, if you dare, down a rickety staircase into a dank, dark basement. What awaits? The Saturday Night Freak Show.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Saturday Night Freak Show podcast. We're a movie review podcast that comes your way every Saturday night, whether you're ready for it or not. Do us a favor, a solid. Go on over to wherever you found us and give us a like, a star rating, or a review. Why? Because all that stuff helps us get found by other like-minded souls like yourself.
Yeah.
This is our Halloween episode, I believe, isn't it?
No, last week was.
Yeah, but when they're listening to it.
It'll be after Halloween.
Halloween's on Thursday,
Yeah.
so it'll be
Yeah.
after.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Remember
Really?
last week when
Yeah.
I was like, Happy Halloween, and you just kind of moved on.
Oh,
Yeah,
damn it all to
that was
hell.
why.
Okay, I
That
hope
was why.
your Halloween was awesome. Yeah, but everybody, maybe they're all having Halloween parties this weekend as they're listening to this.
Possibly.
November
After?
2nd?
After?
Okay.
November?
I hate it when it falls in such a fucking.
It's going to be on a
divided-
Saturday next year, though.
Good.
That's exciting.
It'll be awesome.
There you go. Are you in favor of that, the
No.
change.org petition
No.
to move Halloween to the final Saturday in October?
No.
No. Halloween
No.
is always the 31st.
Yeah.
Damn right.
Shall
Just deal with
forever
it.
be.
Deal with it like the rest of us
Deal
do.
with it.
Yeah.
Just
You
gotta
know?
deal with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes you have to use PTO to celebrate.
Yep.
That's life, you know?
I did.
Yeah, same. I haven't worked at Halloween in
I try not to work
Years.
on Halloween. No.
yeah.
Wow.
It's just a day.
Unfortunately. I'm not even going to be able to hand out the candy this
I
year.
actually
Wait,
have to-
who are
yeah.
these people who are talking to you? The
Oh, yeah.
internet radio superstars.
Sean.
Holly,
Michaela.
And I'm Colin. Sorry.
We got on a Halloween tangent.
I think I have to work late on Halloween. Yeah.
No, so do I. Yeah, so there you go.
Oh, it sucks for you guys.
Yeah, I was like, I couldn't even tell you last time I worked at
I have to
Halloween.
hand out
I
candy.
never do.
Because we're opening up the
At
college.
work?
We're opening up the college to have trick or treat there.
Oh.
Right.
I have to hand out
Oh.
candy.
Why? Why does a college need to have people come and trick or treat?
They don't.
I would agree.
It's a recruitment
Like,
tactic.
that's-
That's
yeah,
what-
They're
right.
indoctrinating
5-year-olds.
them when they're young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Remember that place that gives you candy?
Studies have shown that works.
Yeah.
Get them when they're
Yeah.
young. Yeah, it works.
Well, sure.
Well, tonight we watched a movie that was chosen by...
Michaela, what did you do to us tonight?
I don't know if we can call it a field trip because this was a really short movie compared to like anything I've seen in theaters
you ever gone on
lately.
a field trip on your own? I have.
We went to Countdown.
Countdown.
2019.
We're
have
like,
you,
this is
have you
up to
heard of
date.
it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Directed by
Justin Deck.
Justin Deck. That's DEC. What
Yeah.
else has he done?
He did a bunch of like indie movies I'd never heard of.
I thought they were
Like
all
7 or
shorts.
8.
I
Yeah.
thought this was his
Yeah, I was
first
saying, this is his
theatrical film.
first,
Yeah. I would click on them and I'd be like, that seems vaguely familiar, but I know I haven't seen it, you know? Like,
Yeah, it's just something
But-
you've heard of.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Made its
And
way
then that
across
was
the
it.
pages of Bloody Disgusting at one point. It's like, look at this cool short.
Yep.
Gone.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, in case this is your first rodeo with us, usually we do retro movies that have been out for a while so we can talk about them and spoil the hell out of them. So this is a Freak Show First, a spoiler-free movie review.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No,
Totally.
we
Yeah, usually
honestly,
we do old ones like The Boy Next Door and I Know Who Killed Me and all those retro movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not picking on you because those are both your movies.
Well, movies that have been out for a little while. This one
Sure.
is still in theaters as you're listening to this, or
Well,
Maybe-
let's not. Let's.
you're listening to it in
Judging
the
by
far
the
future.
Thursday night showing we went to, maybe we should hold off on saying it's still in
I
theaters.
know. If you're out there debating or you're like, I've got The Lighthouse or Countdown, make that decision.
Well, here's the question: because it is a fresh movie, should we do recommends early, or do if we recommend it or not? Should we do it early?
I don't think this movie deserves any special treatment from any other episode.
We don't do that. Like we did It Chapter 2. We didn't do that.
I know.
What's the
Yeah.
difference?
Well, it's been around for hundreds of years, and people may hundreds of years, millions of years,
We did it with,
and they
we did
may
it
know
with Pet
the
Cemetery.
story.
Like we've done new movies and we
Yeah,
didn't do
but those
that.
are all
Yeah.
remakes, is what I'm saying. Well, whatever. Okay, so this is just your
True.
forewarned that this is a spoiler-heavy review of a movie called Countdown. So go watch the movie before you continue with the rest of this program.
Or make
So-
your own decisions. Do
Yeah, or we'll probably tell you the entire
Whatever.
movie. You
It's
can you can experience it this way. All right, so Countdown.
Countdown.
is a
app.
movie that okay.
Final
So
It's
Destination in an app.
It's not though. I actually no. We're gonna start this right now. It's not Final Destination. It's not Final Destination at all.
it's a slasher
it's not.
movie.
It's
Why all the
barely that.
reviews say that it's a Final Destination clone is beyond me. It's The
Could not-
Ring
It's not a
is
clone.
probably
It's
the
not
closest
at all Final
analogy.
Destination. Like it doesn't take like it might be in this movie's best interest to be a Final Destination clone,
Yeah.
but it's
Would
not.
There'd be maybe a better mythology to it if
And
it
a better
was
draw, like-
maybe a better, more interesting way
Yeah.
it could play out if it
Right,
was.
exactly. But that's what like a lot of our listeners said. It's a Final Destination ripoff. I see people making jokes, and I've become that actually person in like the 12 hours it's
Damn.
been since I've seen this movie. I'm like, well, if you actually see the movie, it's not. And
Yeah.
like I'm sure it sounds
Yeah.
like I'm defending that movie, but like it's. Guys, your jokes don't make any sense if you've actually seen the movie.
Yeah,
you
it
know,
doesn't follow the structure or because the idea of Final Destination is basically that somebody avoids their own death, and so then death not as a thing personified, which is a smart move on the part of Final
because they
Destination.
can do
Right.
anything then.
Yeah, and you
Right.
get these kind of how are they going to die? Then becomes the question because it's going to be this Rube Goldberg kind of scenario where which is cool. That's
That's what's fun
the
about
draw
those movies.
Or like
of those movies.
a wind kicks up and you're like, oh shit, death is here.
Yeah.
That's how
Yeah.
you know.
Sometimes like they will do like little Tony Todd voice drop-ins,
Right.
very
Or just him
sparingly.
going,
Yeah, that too.
So
I just
you
watched
get a
3,
sense.
4, and 5 a few days ago, back to
How's
back.
that?
Oh wow, you can see the peaks and valleys very clearly when you watch them all stacked like
I
that.
think I stopped at 3.
5 is really good. I like
Is it?
5 a lot. Oh, it's got the best effects too. It looks the best.
Nice.
Like 3 was rough. 4
3 was
really
rough.
bad.
3 looked rough.
Yeah,
Like
so-
Yeah,
that was
either 3 or 4 is the worst in that series, probably.
Yeah,
But
4
2
was
has the
surprisingly
best
bad.
opening death
Yeah, it
sequence
does.
great.
on
yeah.
the road.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the logging truck and all
Which
that
is
stuff.
still,
Yeah.
relatable to this
Yeah,
day.
and it haunts everyone that drives
Yeah.
on the
It's
highway.
like,
yeah.
Yep. I like the opening to 3 because there's a certain level of indignity of dying in like a roller coaster accident at a carnival. Like dying like in a carny situation, like that lacks so much dignity compared to like an airplane crash. You know, like I love the like and here's these sad people that died in a carnival accident.
Right.
Like that's how we're starting.
Well, Countdown kind of is playing on. I mean, it's a movie that could only be made in the era in which we live. I
Yes.
mean, it's not
Sure.
the first, obviously. The technological terror movie is there a better term for this?
No, I usually say internet horror, but technological is like a
horror.
broader
Yeah,
term, so it makes
okay.
more sense.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know even know where this trend started. It feels like it was The Ring with the cursed VHS tape that
Right.
tells you you're going to die
Fear.com?
in 7 days. That came after The Ring. Well,
After the Ring?
That was after the Japanese Ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but before
That's
the American remake.
Part and parcel of this genre,
Mm-hmm.
this
Yeah.
subgenre, we shall say.
But now we have some of these aren't so bad. I mean, I saw Unfriended, which was
I liked
like
Unfriended.
Unfriended was a decent movie with
It's
a
a gimmick, yeah, and that's
Sure.
the only time they're going to be able to pull it off. Like it's done now. Don't let's not. Yeah.
Well, I know they did Open Windows. I think was another one that maybe
Yeah.
came out before Unfriended.
Did they do Unfriended too?
Yeah, they did.
Is that Dark
Web? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there was
Searching?
Yeah.
I never saw
There's
that one. I heard it was
also-
good.
there's
I saw that.
There was a low
You really liked
budget
it, right?
one.
It was because it's a thriller. It's not like it's not a horror. It's a thriller. But I really enjoyed it. I thought it was very interesting.
Yeah, because it had the conceit that like the entire movie is going to take place like you're looking at a Mac,
Yeah,
computer.
you're watching a guy on his computer researching, trying to find his daughter.
Can you
which
tell a
it was-
movie
It was cool.
through window, open
Yeah.
windows and stuff
Yeah.
like that?
It was
There
cool.
was another movie. It was a low budget thing that I saw, but now I can't remember the goddamn title of it. That was pretty good too. So now I can't recommend it. If I think about it, I'll put it on our social media later on this week. Okay, so these movies generally try to play into an audience, the modern teen audience, not discomfort with, maybe it's trying to undermine their comfort level with the technology that they have.
Right.
The, use of phones or didn't One Missed Call do that? Like, you remember that one?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but that
Yeah.
had that weird face on the cover. And what was the conceit of that one? Like,
You get a phone call. I think the phone.
did an alien come and kill you? Like, what was the weird
Yeah, because it
face
did
on
have
the
a weird
cover?
feel.
No,
Yeah.
there was a
Weird
ghost at the root of that because
Oh
usually.
no, a ghost? You're kidding?
Yeah, but it was a Japanese movie.
Oh,
I think
yeah.
that was a Takashi Miike movie, the original.
I
one
think so.
saw.
I think you might be right.
Okay, so I mean that's what they're getting at in some way, shape, or fashion, right?
What are you very familiar with? Technology? Well, it's here to fuck
It's
you
That's
over.
right.
it's like it's
Don't
why
be
Black Mirror is
relying on this
successful,
stuff.
right?
Mhm.
Like Black Mirror's like that's their whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, Black Mirror is kind of like, that meme where it's like we're all looking at our phones, but we're zombies. Like, that's what
Yeah.
zombies really will be. It's like the person who created Black Mirror saw that meme and was like, I can make a whole TV show based
Sure.
on that
Right.
premise.
Yeah.
Like, and this movie is like a 99% watered down version of that.
Stephen King made a whole book or a novella on that. Was
Cell?
it Cell?
Mm-hmm.
It's a book.
Which they made into a movie with
It's a
John
book.
Cusack, right?
Anybody
Same with
watch
Josh-
that?
I started it and it was so bad. I just turned it
No.
off.
And the book was all right.
Yeah.
The movie looked god awful.
Yeah. It
But,
was pretty bad. Well, there you go. I can confirm that for you.
Good to know.
Not good.
I'll skip it.
Much like The Ring, this movie begins with a sequence pretty much just like The Ring. I mean, we have to set up how you get the killer app and how you learn you only have so long
think we
to live.
we think we could set it up better than they do in the movie? Because for me, this was the worst setup. I'm not even the setup. Just the way it's acted was the worst thing I've ever seen in a long time. And I just watched the April Fool's Day 2008 movie today.
You talking about the
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. Oh boy. But those
teenagers in the cold open? Is
the
what you're talking about?
actors in the cold open, the horrible. That whole situation scenario, horrible.
Who is the lead actress in that scene? She's
the
from...
blonde is from. I looked it up earlier today. I forgot though.
Okay. Because a lot of our cast are from... I don't know. I wouldn't say they're famous,
No.
but you would
ABC
recognize their faces
Yep.
if you've watched CW shows like Riverdale or ABC shows or
Once Upon a
13
Time.
Reasons Why. Wait, was she in 13 Reasons Why? I can't remember. Anyway,
idea.
I
some
did not
girl
put
who
that
some
much-
of you might recognize goes to a party, and at the party, everybody gets her to download an app because somebody's like, "Hey, we got this. There's this new app. You've heard of this? Countdown?" No, she downloads it on
Yeah.
accident, looking
She's looking
for.
for a
She's
diet
looking
app.
for the dieting.
Oh,
app.
right,
Yeah.
right. And she's
Countdown
like,
to
"This one?"
Skinny.
Yes, Countdown to Skinny. Is it this one? No.
and they end up with Countdown, this horrible app that somehow materializes on your phone, even if you don't want it or not. She chooses to, obviously,
Right.
originally.
She's hesitant to do it, which, I mean, are we all really that hesitant nowadays to be like, I don't want that app on my phone, or like, I'm scared of what
I didn't
might happen.
download the fucking thing.
Well, that's because you're just lazy. I have a feeling, because we all did.
Yeah,
I'm
we all
running out of
did.
Space.
Look for
I
major
got
changes.
16 gigabytes. I need
Major
to
changes
upgrade.
in the Freak Show in the coming years, apparently, according to these apps.
That's right. Sean's only got, what do you got? 160?
I got until April 9th of next year, and then I'm gone. The tax man's going to come and get me, and I'm the tax man. Ooh, there you go.
The tax- There's
movie.
your holiday horror
There you
movie,
go.
The
What
Tax
was that
Man.
one movie?
You're going to be charged an arm and a leg.
There you go. Write it.
This is like the, it was not even like augmented reality. It's just like a companion app that you can get like in real life for this movie. But there was, you remember the Zozo challenge?
No.
YouTube
What is
Zozo
this?
challenge?
No.
Whoa, what is this?
It was like tied into some like it was something that like I don't know. It had this really creepy looking thing in it, and apparently you had I think it was like a Ouija board, and they'd get a message from Zozo or something like that, and then it everybody was freaking out about it, and when they were talking about it on the internet, and on YouTube, it was kind of going viral, and then it turned out that it was promotion for some like low budget movie, and now I can't remember what that one was. It wasn't the Bye Bye Man. It was something around that time though, but.
You're missing a lot of key elements to the story.
Yeah, sorry, as I often am. I need to like
It's not
take
helping.
notes. Yeah,
That internet thing that happened a few years ago.
Well, somebody out there knows what I'm talking about, and it'll help me out.
Let
in
us
the
know about
comments.
Zozo, dear Brailer.
Yeah. Okay, so anyway, she gets this app, and they all run it at the table, and it tells you how you're going, or like how long you have left to live.
Yes.
She, of course, has like a couple of minutes. I think, or something like that.
Like 3 hours.
Yeah, she got like 3 hours. I
3
think,
hours,
Something like that,
okay.
yeah.
And she heads out into the night with her drunk boyfriend, and she gets at some point, I think he's drunk, they're driving home, she opts to get out of the car, and then she gets a message that says the user agreement has been broken,
Yes.
and you're like, okay, what the fuck does that mean?
We all know what that means.
Yeah, we all know it.
We all know what that means.
If you've watched a horror movie once in your life, you
Yes.
can see
You also
every
know-
beat of this movie
right.
coming.
You also know you're going into a horror movie, so you're like, well, I
Right.
know what that means.
Well, I don't know what this means, 'cause having seen the movie. Well, I mean, I do, but like, okay, for the logic of the listener listening, what does breaking the user agreement mean in the movie?
It's what the It's like it's the iTunes user agreement that no one ever reads, right?
Right. Is that
So-
the comment this movie's making?
Yes,
Yeah,
is read the
definitely.
fine print. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, read the fine print. But apparently, which you hear later in the movie, because they read the user agreement in it, that you can't do anything to deviate from this, basically the timer. Like, you're going to die at this time. If you do something that deviates you from that path, then your user agreement is broken, and then you are then haunted by a demon. We find this out a little bit later. Haunted by a demon up until your timer runs out, and then you're killed by the demon.
Oh.
Did you not know this? It's really not coming
No,
across.
okay. When I watched that, I'm like, if you your timer runs out, you die. And if you break the user agreement, the timer runs out and you die.
Oh no! The specifics is that you will be haunted by the demon.
Yeah.
Okay.
You deviated from
Right,
the course.
So you will,
so-
that's why they're seeing the
Oh.
visions and everything, which they
Oh.
wouldn't if they had just died. But because they broke the user agreement, that's when they start
Okay,
getting
yeah,
haunted.
that just went,
that's when they
I
get
don't know.
cursed.
I was very tired. I got to tell you, when I was watching this movie. So
oh, good. Well, I
you
like
may
it
have
better
to-
when someone's fuzzy in this because then we're just like, no, it means this.
Did you guys have a moment of panic where you thought it was going to turn into an It Follows like knockoff? I did. I was like,
Yeah.
oh no, don't do that, because like when we'll get there. I guess we can lead up into it. The part when
Quinn?
no, her boyfriend, when he's in the hospital and he's about to die, and she comes down the stairs, the
Yeah.
girlfriend that died
Yeah.
comes
Oh,
down
yeah.
the stairs. I was like, oh shit, is it like the last person you were with that broke the user agreement, like passed it to you sort of thing? Because everyone that saw the demon saw it as someone familiar to them. So that's why I was like, oh no, it's going to be a passing it to
Yeah.
people thing. I was like, you can't do that when we just had It Follows. Like, you can't draw those comparisons.
Yeah.
But it
It's just doing
didn't
to freak
didn't
you
have
out.
any connection, so it wasn't that deep. I was thinking
No.
too much about it.
No, it's not that deep.
Yeah. This is, I mean, ultimately, this movie is kind of a product of the thinking of, or the trend setting of Jason Blum. This isn't a Blumhouse movie, right?
No, it was some weird name I'd never heard of.
It's STX or
Yeah.
something. It's
Yeah.
a Chinese company that's making movies here now. But there was the idea, I think, that Blumhouse started was that you can make these movies for like $1 million and they make fuck tons of money. Incalculable wealth comes your way. This is, 10 years ago now or whatever when he pioneered this model. And now you have a bunch of people still kind of, because what? Polaroid just came out?
After being shelved for like a year and a half, 2 years, something
Yeah.
like that.
I mean, these are movies, you got a
which is
haunted
very
object.
much right in this genre of movie. Yes,
Yeah, that you can do really cheap, and on the back end you make like a ton of money out of it. It
Yeah.
helps if it's a Blumhouse movie because then at least you have Universal money giving you the publicity push.
right. Yes, the
We're
promotion and whatnot.
countdown, as we realized from some of our comments. No one's even heard of this movie, this major release.
If you have cable, there's commercials for it constantly.
Okay, there you go.
Plus, I mean, I'm sure
Constantly.
this is a
You haven't cut
social
the cord yet,
media.
you've seen the-
I'm sure it's all over social media. It would have to be.
I'm sure
It is
it's
the social
geared
media
to
movie.
a specific age range. I'm not seeing the stuff on my feed because I'm probably outside the age range for the marketing push.
Sure.
I'm sure it's out there somewhere.
Which is weird because this isn't a movie about teenagers.
I was thinking the same thing.
Like,
I was
it's
this is a teen movie, but it's not about teenagers at all.
Not at all. Like
No.
it makes
They
you
try
think
and
it's going to be.
They try and shove one in there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what are
At
they,
one
like
point.
22, 24? They're 25
She's
max.
graduating nursing, so she's got to be mid-20s at least.
Yeah, okay.
20. I'll say 24,
Yeah.
25, probably.
All right,
Yeah.
there you go. It's a young adult thriller then. Young adult thriller.
But judging from the marketing of this movie, you're expecting Final Destination about a bunch of teenagers.
Yeah.
We all get the app tracking down 6 or 7 individual people. And I don't know about you guys, but did you feel like there was no extras in this movie whatsoever? And like it just seemed very sparse. Like
Yeah,
there was no background, no extras
yeah.
in any scene
It's on
ever.
a budget. You can do that.
Yeah.
in, like,
I know, but
It
I'm just
kinda
saying it was
felt-
noticeable to me.
I kind of felt the same way with Happy Death Day. Like it
Yeah.
kind of felt that same way. I mean, they obviously pulled that movie off way better, but it also kind of felt like, there's nobody in the background. It's just they're focusing on these characters because what else are they going to do?
And just given the premise of this movie, you would expect the scope of it to be so much bigger. Like the scope of this movie is really
Well,
small.
The scope could. Well, yeah, I think
It
that's one of
focuses
the
on
things
3
that's-
people,
right.
like maybe 2.5 even, you could argue.
That could be one of the things that's lacking. It's just there's potential
Victims?
for it to be
Yeah.
affecting a lot more.
What's the body count for this movie?
People.
3?
it's pretty low.
It's
I mean, I said it's a
very
slasher
low.
movie, but only because it starts out that way.
Right. And
And there is some kind of specter, a physical presence wandering around picking people off. I think I was like, there's going to be trouble with this movie early on after, the girl, this is still cold open, girl avoids her death in the car accident with the drunk boyfriend.
Because, we do see later on, because she's got by the time she gets in the car, she's got 18, he said something like 18 minutes later or 9 minutes later or something. He does slam into a tree and it has gone through the windshield through her seat.
Yeah.
Like where she would have died.
Yeah.
Like through the headrest even specifically. Yeah.
But she goes home and she's in the bathroom and it gets, all creepy. And then a force that we don't see lifts her off the, ground, thrashes her around and drops her down so she breaks her neck on the bathroom or on the bathtub.
Mm.
And I was like, oh no. I was kind of thinking maybe we were going to go to Final Destination at that point. And then I'm like, oh, they're just going to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Or some spirit kills them. Unseen thing. Awesome.
If only it could find a tone and stick with it, right? This movie, man.
Well,
Scene to scene, it is completely different.
Because it wants to be funny. Was it funny?
At times, it wants to be funny.
times
At
it wants
other
to be
times,
funny.
it wants to be like heavy and heartfelt.
There's certain moments, because I really think they're going after the Happy Death Day tone. That's I think that's where they're directly going for. Because they want to have that lead character who is...
Oh, they even
want
killed
funny.
the mom like Happy Death
Right.
Day. Oh
yeah.
my God,
so
this
they
is
want,
a Happy Death
so they
Day
want to
knockoff.
have that and they try and have that emotional part later with people who aren't as
With people who don't even know who they are. Like, that was insane.
who aren't as adept at doing that as they got very I don't want to say lucky because she's very good, the actress for Happy Death Day. They couldn't get her she's
no, what's
obviously
this
much better.
actress's name?
Elizabeth Lale.
Okay,
Yes.
she's our lead who's introduced.
Who looks like every other blonde
Evan
actress,
Rachel Wood.
or even Emily Van Camp.
I was going to say, she
Yeah.
looks like Emily Van
She looks
Camp.
like Emily Van Camp.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So she's got that look where you're just like, I'm never going to remember you because you look like that other
See,
one.
I kind of liked her, but I was
I like her.
But I was like, I think it's because she reminds me of someone else I like. Is what I
Probably.
think it is.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, I'd go and say, I actually liked all the performers in this movie. I mean, I really don't have anything against them. They're doing,
Right.
they're doing serviceable quality work.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say they're working their hearts out, but
No.
they're young.
They're getting
This
the
is,
job done.
some of them
Yeah.
have done a lot of stuff on TV, and it's a movie.
Shout out to Tom Segura, who was probably one of the better parts of this movie.
I think
Yeah, definitely.
everybody who I talked to about this movie
this
is like,
feels
that's the
very
movie
legal.
that Tom Segura is in.
I like it.
So what? Well, I suppose we don't have to tell people who he is, do we?
Tom Segura, he's a comedian.
Yeah,
He's on a hot streak right now.
he
He's
has a
very funny.
fan base bigger than anybody else in the movie.
Yes, he
Yeah,
does.
apparently.
Yes, he does. It's very true.
He plays
He's Doc.
Yeah, he's a cell phone salesman.
Salesman, repairman. Yeah, he runs the store.
He knows how to hack phones.
He
Yeah.
wait, you can hack an app? I
He's that
love
guy who
/
knows
hate this
all
movie.
about the tech that we're dealing with, because we're going to have to rely on him at some point.
Yeah.
We're also going to have to rely eventually on the Catholic Church, because you have to when you got demons
hated this
involved.
stuff. You gotta hate it.
You gotta.
And so we bring in a priest who's played by.
Don't know what that guy's name is. He's been
the
in
guy
a lot
from
of
The Big
stuff.
Short. I've seen him in.
He was
a
in The
bunch of
Wolf of Wall Street too.
Wolf of Wall Street.
I
That's
think.
what
PJ
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Michaela's
Did you not like
looking
him,
up,
Michaela?
so-
No, it wasn't him. I just that whole plot I didn't care for.
Well,
I thought he was a good actor. I was just like, what?
Right.
What are we doing?
It changes.
What are we
Like
doing
that's a big change.
Yeah.
Like,
a
wait,
tonal
what-
shift.
That's a
Yeah,
different.
it's a tonal
different
shift.
movie.
It's like, wait,
it's a
where are we going
completely
here?
different movie.
I mean, I like him and I like what this is happening,
Yeah.
but how did we get here?
Well, I always love when characters go to the Catholic Church, right? I've seen this now more in recent movies, and
Right.
this isn't the first
PJ
one.
Byrne.
PJ Byrne. There you go, sir. You shout out on Saturday Night Freak Show.
Yes.
On your way to the Wall of Fame. 2 more movies.
Oh,
you'll
I'm
make
sure.
it. But they go to the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church is, reacts the way that I assume most people probably would react in real life. Like,
It's like, this is not my area. of
yeah, I
expertise.
don't know. I don't,
Yeah.
demons and stuff is, what?
I like that. He's like, so you don't believe in demons? It's like, actually, no.
Yeah, it's a figurative.
It's like, oh, okay.
So I'm going to send you to another guy. At least in this movie, it's another guy within the Catholic Church.
I would have questioned it because I'm
Priest.
like, you guys are pretty literal when this shit comes. You sure you don't believe in demons?
Mhm.
Like, all right, weird, but okay.
Not in the
You
modern
believe
day.
in God, demons no.
Yeah,
All right,
in the modern day, it's all changed. It's all a psychological thing.
Yeah.
But they sent him to this. Was he listening to like rap metal?
it's rap.
It was rap.
and he loves what was he had
the wafers. He was chewing on wafers.
That was
Yeah.
that was pretty funny. He was eating a sleeve of wafers.
A sleeve of
Yeah,
wafers.
the incense going. Yeah,
that was pretty funny.
and
that
he's
was pretty good.
very, very into the occult, and
Yes.
this
It's like,
kind
that's the reason I got into this shit.
Yeah,
Damn
I
it.
can't wait to see all this stuff. So, I mean, at least it's a character,
Right, and he's
Yeah.
excited.
Is it a character that belongs in this movie? I don't know. Or this is a bold choice.
It is. I like it better that he was there than he wasn't. Like, I'm perfectly fine with this character doing what he's doing.
Oh my god! As soon as they introduced that, like it would be Catholicism, demon fighting, all that mythology, I immediately turned into the SpongeBob meme and mentally was like, "I'm out." Like, if that's where this movie's going, I can leave right now. Like, I don't need to see another Catholic demon fighting movie ever again in my whole
But I
life.
also think it's on a very, as we discussed before, a very shallow. It goes into
Oh,
that
yeah,
very
no.
shallowly, like it's
Right,
very
but-
on the surface.
But when they first
about
introduced that, I was like, "Fuck this!" Because I was like, "This is the direction it's going to go. It's going to be The Right. It's going to be all those other movies like that."
Well,
I'm
what's the
glad
other
that it
direction that
skipped
you
around.
have?
But I don't.
The Japanese.
Final Destination is your other
Well,
option.
yeah,
You
it's
know,
then you
Japanese
rip off-
ghosts.
you don't
Yeah,
have to
or it's
introduce
the somewhere- how you
religion
gotta-
into it.
I thought, and they probably save it for the sequel. I thought we were going to get we're going to find the guy who created this app,
Yeah,
Right.
who's
Why-
contained something,
That's
Yeah.
it.
and
It's a
he's
huge.
spreading it.
It's like the Hellraiser box.
Sure, yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's a
yeah.
huge missed opportunity to not make this like a social commentary on the tech industry and make it some tech billionaire asshole that they're hunting
Yeah.
down. Why? Like,
Who got to
come
the
on,
top
that's-
because he harnessed
come on.
he made a deal with the devil, and now the devil's
It's
making
right
him do
there.
this.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Sequel.
That's the movie that I want. I want to know about the app. Who created the app? Where did
Yeah.
it come from? Because they're just like, oh, it came from the devil. No, it didn't come from the devil. Who's the
Yeah.
programmer behind this? Who did he beta test? Like, I need more information.
You can make it like I don't know how much
It may
of
have
you
come
guys
from the devil.
watched-
Apple let it through this ecosystem.
Exactly.
So,
Like,
you never know.
that's the thing. Like, you know, you could really take some pot shots in Silicon Valley with that. Like,
Yeah,
you know,
for
do-
real.
Have some get someone really famous just to play the tech billionaire in like
Yeah.
a few scenes. You know,
I also liked that it had a
fucking awesome.
3.6 star rating.
yeah.
The app did?
Yeah.
Nice.
It did.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's what I was like. Even this priest, like, eventually has to do like his exorcism. Was like, we're gonna make a pentagram, and you got to get in the middle of the. I'm
Yeah.
like,
Ugh, I hated that. I
I'm
was
like, wow, really? Like,
And they really went through it. It's like, what if he? I like how they thought it through. It's like, what if he just blows the salt off the floor? And I'm like, I don't know. Do demons do that? That's a good question.
Being someone who watched Supernatural, I appreciated that comment because that happened all the time in that show.
I like it. I like that somebody thought about like,
Demons
can't you
can,
just go,
demons can create wind.
right?
It can
So I'm just
blow
like, the
salt.
pain- this makes sense.
Yes.
I will say, in the world of this movie, all their decisions that they decided made sense to me throughout this movie. In the world of it, I was okay with everything that they
yes, until the
decided to
very
do.
end.
yeah, I mean, I guess I'm with you. Well, I mean, with both of you. It's like for the most part of the running time, it was like, I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, it's there.
I think the bad decisions were made by the filmmakers in the script. When it goes off, I'm just like, I don't know. You maybe shouldn't have done that. I don't think it's
Like bringing in the comic priest, or you were okay with the comic priest?
with the Peter Facinelli and his character and how they decided.
This is not a killer app movie. It's a Me Too movie.
yeah,
That's
but
what
I'm
it
also
is.
like,
It wanted to be.
murder this dude.
Yeah.
But I feel like that was the story that was originally written, and
Yeah.
it's like that's a Lifetime
You
movie. We
think?
can't make that, and then
Yeah.
the rest of the movie was
I
kind of
don't
built
know,
around it.
but I think that like
Wait, okay, for the people who haven't seen this, what are we talking about? Well, okay, yeah. So who's our main character and what?
Elizabeth Lale, she
Quinn.
plays Quinn.
yes,
She's graduating she's becoming an RN, full blown registered nurse, and works at a hospital. And Peter Facinelli is like the doctor, the resident doctor there, and he like really is like predatory towards her, corners her in a room with a patient in a coma, and like kind of forces himself on her a little bit. And then she goes to like talk to her supervisor about it, and he kind of like stops that from happening. And then he goes and tells the board that she assaulted him,
yeah.
and they side with him or at least it seems like they're going to. And this is like it's kind of a big thing to make a B plot in a movie.
It is
you know?
the B
Yes.
plot. It
It's the
takes
B
up
plot.
a lot of the screen
that's
real
why
estate.
I'm saying I feel like that was the movie, and then
it
the rest
it
of
definitely
you know.
shouldn't have been because that.
Yeah.
I don't think you want to make. I think for the rest of this movie, I think these people knew what movie they were making or wanted to make, and this plot line just made me angry. And I'm like, I don't
I
think
liked
you.
it.
What?
I liked it. I was like, I want to watch this movie.
You want to watch that
Yeah.
movie? Just maybe. I'm just like I don't want to watch this in my horror movie right now. Like it's not unless
That's the real horror, Sean.
I know it is. Unless they follow through with it and he gets murdered at the end or
He
dies
did
somehow.
get murdered at
he
the
didn't.
end. She killed him.
No, he does not die at the end.
Didn't
I
she
thought
beat
the
the shit
thing
out
that-
of him with
No.
the pipe?
She bit the shit out of
He
him, but he got
goes
away.
to jail.
He gets
That's
arrested.
his ending. He's
Yes.
arrested
Did I
and he
miss that?
goes
Oh,
to
that's
jail.
right. He does. Because I thought that was weird. Because
Which is halfway mentioned when they're looking at an app walking through the graveyard at the end.
Yeah.
No, they
Not
s-
satisfying.
She said 3 more people came forward.
No.
Yeah,
Yes,
and they show
yes,
him
yes,
in an
yes.
orange jumpsuit
He's-
in jail.
Yes, that
In
is.
the screenshot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that is
Because
his
people can still
mugshot.
come forward even if he's dead.
That's
so.
No.
it's
He went to
his
jail.
mugshot on the picture,
Yes.
and
Okay.
Which to
because
me
when
is-
she hits him with the crowbar, he runs out.
Yes. And he's gone.
Yeah.
Which is not satisfying for everything they did with that character and her.
Yeah.
Not a satisfying ending
Yeah, I'm
to
trying
that
to wonder
storyline.
what the logic is behind just not killing him there, you know?
I'm right, because they don't want their character to do that, to sink to that level, I guess, is the only reason I can think of. Other than that, murder that motherfucker. Kill him. Because that is the only satisfying ending to that story. Seeing him halfway mentioned on an app that he got arrested and more
That-
people are coming
that
forward,
feels like
that's
a-
too real for a movie that's got a fucking demon app killing people.
Doesn't that feel like
No.
like a studio note or something, right? Because it feels so
Maybe.
tacked on, you know?
which the ending that he
yeah,
gets.
the
Well, 'cause-
screen, because it's so quick.
Well, I was also like, this is just me. I'm like, because him trying to kiss her and like couldn't put you in prison. I mean, that's not like a crime. It can get you fired, but
Yeah.
it's not like you go to jail. But then it said like other accusers have come forward. Then you're supposed to assume that like he actually
well,
did
and the other
rape
nurse
somebody.
told her.
Yeah,
Right.
But like other, actual, sex crimes or whatever. But it just felt it was unsatisfying that you build this up in
and then he just runs away.
Well, and if you're going to send him to jail, at least have like some TV footage of him getting like hauled in or something. Like
Something.
a screenshot on a
It's
phone
a
is too
bad
quick and
screenshot
not well
on
done.
a phone that
Yeah.
is just, it's passed by. And I'm just like, that's
Yeah.
not
It's
It's a
satisfying.
question
for
like,
everything we had
why
there.
do you do this as your B movie? You're going to go because to me it felt like it was exploitive. And again, I realize
Yes.
that I like a lot of
But that is-
exploitation
that
movies
is
for
the-
this reason, but
Right.
this really did feel like because to me it didn't read
not-
like a real quote unquote Me Too scenario. It felt like this is the movie version of it, where of course the doctor's going to be the overbearing authority figure, and I'm just like we're going down this road.
Yeah, I was not.
Like
Maybe
you
if it
can't
had
come up with like a 3-dimensional character
Something.
here.
It's
Spoken
been
like two men that
purposeful.
have never been on the other side of that. It
I'm
does
saying-
go down like
but
that.
I'm saying for a film, it's like when you're watching
But
that.
I don't think it's trying. I think it's trying to be realistic as its point.
I don't, or I think it is. I agree. I don't think it should be. I don't think it should.
Because you're saying it's crossing a line and exploiting a real life thing in a movie
that's got a killer demon act.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
It's
It's silly.
I know. That's
basically,
why
is
I'm
what
saying.
you're
Like, I feel like that.
if you're gonna do that, you got to make the rest of the movie around that storyline be
Right.
with that.
Right.
And it
No, I
wasn't.
agree. I'm saying I think the person that wrote it was like wanted to write a Me Too. A movie with a Me Too message and just isn't
yeah,
good
they thought
enough
they
at
were
writing
being
that.
noble.
Yeah.
So just had to straight up write a Me Too. They couldn't finesse it into a legit story.
Sure,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
So they just wrote a
Probably.
straight up Me Too incident into their
Yep,
movie.
'cause
Probably,
that's
yeah.
it's a thing, a product of our time, I suppose.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much language in this movie that was immediately time stamping it. I was like, I can't wait to watch this movie in 10 years and
Well, that's
laugh
how
at it.
everything goes.
But this one,
timestamped it
because
for,
they're
like,
talking about apps so much,
Yeah,
it's
they're like,
way more
You
in
mean
this
you can
one.
hack apps? I'm just like, wow, welcome to 5 years ago at least.
Well, and he was like, I'm going to be late for my Tinder date. And there was like
Yeah.
tons of language like that I was like, ooh, this is not going to age well. I'm going to love
Yeah,
it.
it's
No.
not. It's
at
not
all.
right on the forefront of anything right there. So
But these movies are disposable. You're just supposed to go watch them the opening
Right.
weekend or whatever, and
Yes.
then away you go. So aside from having to Peter Fasinelli's the guy from Twilight, I'm sure all of
And
you
Home
know that.
Improvement.
You've all seen, and what was it? Fastlane. Anybody?
Fastlane.
Anybody Fastlane?
Yes. Didn't that have Tiffany Amber Thiessen in it? Wasn't she?
Yes.
was
Yes,
the
it
female
did.
lady? Yes, it
Yes.
did.
Yes, it did.
Didn't that run
McGee,
for like?
I think,
Yes.
directed
Didn't that run for like
A season?
Yeah, like 12 episodes or something. Yeah.
So that's our B plot. A plot is Quinn, of course, has like, well, I don't remember what her time is. You've got 7 days or something
No,
like
it's
that.
I think it's like
It was
3
like-
days.
Yeah.
I think it's like 3 days.
So she has
got
to
family
figure out
problems
a
as well.
way. How do you head off because this is how these movies have to go then, right? Once you've got the curse,
Right. Once you
gotta
understand
figure
that
out
you
how to
are
beat the
cursed.
curse.
Yes.
Yeah. So what attempts does she make to beat the curse, and what is the mythology that we discover from this process?
I mean, first of all, they got to figure out what is going on. And they do that. First of all, she meets up with Matt.
I was going to say, first she tries to delete the app.
Sure.
That doesn't work.
Which is what you would... They go through the logical steps. It's like, well, I'm just going to delete this app because I don't...
And then she tries to get a new phone, new number,
Right.
new everything.
That's where we get Tom Segura. So she goes to the store, gets a new
She
phone.
believes it's real because the guy who had the app, the guy in the drunk boyfriend from the cold open, dies on the time.
He also dies,
Yeah.
yes, because he gets thrown off the stairway and smacks his head as well. You would have figured... I know they're on a budget, but you would have figured somebody would have got, like, ripped in half or something
a better
like
finishing
that.
move.
Yes, yeah, there should have been
It's
a
the
better
same
PG-13.
one every time.
This is a demon we're
PG-13
talking about.
movie.
I know, that's the problem.
It just likes to throw you up in the air.
Which I
and let
didn't
you fall.
realize until it was mentioned on
'cause
one of
he's
our
a-
posts.
Just because he's a demon doesn't mean he's creative.
That's
Or-
true.
or
That's
cruel,
true. That's a good
I
point.
guess. Maybe
Yeah.
he's not a
Maybe-
cruel
maybe he's
demon.
just doing
maybe
his
we're
job.
being judgmental here, Sean. Maybe,
About demons.
Maybe we're making
there are
assumptions.
good people on both sides.
Although when we get the mythology with the priest, he does say that in the lore, the demon actually tortures the person and messes with them,
Right. Well,
which
this
we
is-
don't really get
Well,
a
that's
lot
the
of
haunting.
that. But
Because they're just haunted until their timer actually does run out. That is the torment.
oh, like mentally torture them.
Yes,
I
they are
get
mentally
okay.
tortured.
Okay,
They-
I
and
gotcha.
I think that's
yeah,
all
you're
they
right.
do.
You're right.
Gonna make a bold statement. I don't think the mental torture is that bad in this movie. Like
No, it's just being
they see someone
haunted
they
by-
knew that
yeah.
died,
I mean-
and that's it.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's pretty fucking scary for them. I mean, not
Yeah.
for the audience necessarily, but for them.
How'd
A
the
little
jump
scary.
scares work on you?
Honestly, one got me. I'm not gonna lie. One got
A couple
me.
of them got me.
Yeah. Which
I think it
ones?
employs them well in this movie, to tell you the truth. If you're going to go
Well-
for jump scares, I think, it's not necessarily that hard to do them, I would
Like you're
think,
saying,
but
textbook jump scare, sound goes down, then boo.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But
I
they
liked
worked.
hearing the shower curtain pull back after she had opened it.
that was nice.
Like
Yeah.
it wasn't really a jump scare, but like that was like
It was
a
eerie,
nice little
yeah.
thing. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like,
Yeah.
I was up for anything that was moving through the shadows in the background. I like that shit.
there was a lot of
Yeah.
that.
I like
Yeah,
that.
I like
That's-
that.
That's cool shit. Even when he's looking in the hospital in the rear mirror and
That
he
was
sees
cool.
the dude back there and then he looks around and like, I like that shit.
Yeah.
That's cool to me. That scares me.
Well, the ultimately they are seeing a specter, a personified Grim Reaper character. This is explained to us by the rap-loving priest. And what is the where does this come? What is the curse thing? What is the demon? Because I got this scroll.
He does.
Yeah.
I
Well,
love
he's
how
got a
the-
book with a picture of a scroll.
And I love how the scroll is basically the phone
Yeah.
screen.
Oh, yeah,
Just
yeah.
in a scroll form.
I was laughing so hard at that too. I was like,
It
that's
was
a nice
so
little
good.
set design piece that
Right.
was really
It's
well
like, wow,
done.
all right, I'm with you on this. Looks just like it.
Yeah, what was it? It's like some demon that existed, right? And then I can't remember.
Torch. I know he went through a whole.
It's not
story.
important.
Well, it's a creature that basically somehow has managed, much like Bagul, I suppose, in the Sinister movie, that somehow started off in a scroll that would tell you when you were dying, now has made it into the technological era.
Right.
See,
Okay.
this is the thing, like Holly was saying, I'm always curious how these things
Yeah.
make the jump
Right.
from ancient, papyrus
Yeah.
to modern tech.
Okay, wasn't there?
To Apple Store.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
Wasn't there? There was a king who was fated to go off and fight a giant battle, and some mystic woman tells him about this and shows him his scroll. And instead of when he's going to die, and instead of him going out, he sends his younger brother out because he thinks he'll die instead. But the younger brother wins the war and comes back, and because the mystic woman says, because you did not go towards your fate, now this demon is going to fucking haunt you until you die. This was the story in the book.
All right. See, I don't even fucking remember that.
Yeah, I remember
the
that.
picture of the
It
scroll.
just came to me. I remember like,
Oh,
he sent
good,
his brother and
good
he
on
won.
Sean there
Yeah.
and Holly's
Yes.
sitting there going, yeah, that checks out. I couldn't have told you that myself, even though I just saw the movie.
I barely pulled that out of him. Just like
It
the
had
back
cool-
reaches of my brain.
I remember it had cool illustrations.
It
like
did.
the scroll
Yeah,
had cool
cool
illustrations.
I was okay with it.
yeah. So, I mean, that's decent, we're saying,
Sure.
right? We're agreeing that that's
Yep.
kind of a decent mythology.
I mean,
to give your-
it lines up with the he tried to thwart his death or what would be his fate, his destiny, and he paid for it. So it lines up with what is happening.
It makes sense. But in that story, there's an old gypsy woman.
That's the
where did she come from? How the fuck does she know this? Like, why is she the one? Is she the one putting the curse
I
out
think
there?
she started
Why
the
is she?
curse.
But why?
What do gypsy women exist for except to curse people?
Cursing people.
It's rude. So now Apple has taken place of the
Apple is the
gypsy woman.
yes.
I mean, it just I don't know. I don't know.
Apple is run by gypsies, I suppose. They're just going. But they. So the demon personified brings out the full force of the makeup effects and digital effects team. I kept on thinking for some reason of the Frighteners and the because that's I guess like a Grim Reaper thing, but it's more like in this movie, more like the Monty Python, The Meaning of Life, Grim Reaper, right? Big dude in a black cloak that appears in the background of shots and every once in a while reaches up to tap you on the
Those
shoulder.
hands.
And,
glowing eyes.
I mean, I don't know if I'd say that's necessarily Monty Python. I feel like that's just a generalization.
Grim Reaper.
I feel like that's just a general Grim Reaper.
I suppose.
Like,
Well, when we
Well,
get a
this is-
look
I mean,
at
this
him,
is-
which
yeah.
ultimately we will, in graphic close-up
Yes.
of his CGI face, I was like trying to remind, like, what did it remind you of? The look of this creature design.
The eyes reminded me a little bit of demons. Just the
It's
eyes.
the Curse of La Llorona, which just came out, had those same eyes.
did it?
Not all, yeah,
I'm glad I
because I'm
skipped
like,
that one.
None of us have seen
Everybody
it except you,
has
Colin.
that.
you are the only one that saw that movie.
well, it's because I'm a horror person. I see them all. I see Countdown.
You didn't
You
want
were made
to.
to see
Complaining
Countdown.
about it, even though you would have seen it
You were-
anyways.
yeah,
We're made
you were
to see
crying
Countdown.
about it.
So,
I don't know. When it shows up around the pentagram and the circle and everything, I like that. I thought it looked pretty cool.
It has
I
a
like
melting-
the eyes just floating around. And
yeah, and
everything. I
it
thought
has a
looked pretty
melting mouth or
cool.
something.
Yeah,
It's like
and it's
the-
like it's
like
got
skin
gauze.
stretched over a mouth.
Yeah,
That's-
and it's
yeah.
got like gauze around it and
Yeah.
everything.
It kept on reminding me of, remember in The Blob, the guy that got sucked out the window or
Yeah.
whatever? It's like, but his whole face is kind of melting. It looked
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And it gets more screen time than I thought we were going to get in, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I agree.
So, and it didn't look bad. It was just kind of like, meh, okay, you got a
They're
monster in your
they're
movie.
not really trying to think like make up something new and exciting. They're just like, well, we kind of know what lurking, a demon lurking in the shadows, kind of would be and works. So we're just gonna go with that.
And
is
there
all
are
right.
several ghosts that also employ the yellow eyes and the veiny
True.
skin and the black,
Right, and the sharp,
splashes on the
pointy
face.
teeth and everything. Yes,
With the mouths that extend further open than they should,
not Pennywise far, but
No.
farther.
Because Quinn is a nurse. Very early in the movie, and this is one of those things where when you see too many movies, you start to go like, there's Chekhov's Narcan.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
Something. I was waiting for like somebody's gonna get revived here. Like somebody's gonna die and get revived This is
Because
how
of the
this works.
Narcan scene in the beginning
Because
of
it's
the
a hospital and because she's a nurse. I'm just like
The
I'm
nurse
expecting,
has to come into play somehow.
I'm expecting paddles or something. I'm just like, this is easy. Somebody dies and they get revived. Like
Yeah.
that's the easy way around this. Like I saw that coming.
Well, see, you have to talk about somebody dying and being revived because the way that now who was it who proposed this as a solution to how you beat the demon thing, right? Because obviously the first thing that they try, aside from deleting the app, is they go to the comedian dude and he says, "I can reprogram it."
Ah, right.
So he gets in there and finds there's Latin in the code, which
Yep.
only the priest can read, but he can also reprogram and just, give you 50 years or 80
Right,
years
yes.
or whatever. And it's like, okay, you're set
Yep.
until the next day when the thing resets itself.
Yes.
And I
Like the
didn't
lost
see-
clock.
I
it
didn't
goes
see that coming. And that might have been sarcasm. Was that too
Got
big?
it,
That
yeah.
was
Okay,
too subtle. Go bigger, Colin.
and,
I know you can.
Yeah. So who was it who proposed the idea that like you have to beat the thing by
priest.
dying ahead of
The
its
priest did.
clock?
This was this another
Yeah.
meeting with the priest.
Yeah.
that
'Cause
did that.
his first reasoning was we just need to delay it. So we just need to do the salt. He can't get through the salt.
Right.
Well, Matt was pulled out of the salt.
Which I-
Was he lured out by
was
a
lured
ghost
I
of his
got-
brother?
Yeah.
Anybody else get some Blair Witch vibes off this scene right here?
No.
No.
Where,
No.
Like new Blair Witch? Okay, remember because they're in the circle and they're safe and everything, and the only thing that's going to start luring them out is the demon changes into his younger brother, and everyone else kind of goes away at that point, and so he's just talking to the representation of his brother. And the backstory was that he stole his toy dinosaur. His younger brother, who died of like cancer and shit, stole his toy dinosaur, and he's racked with guilt for years later that he stole and everything. And so the demon brother is just like, "Why'd you do this?" and all that stuff. And he's like, "No, I didn't mean it. Here." He tries to give it back to him, and he steps outside of the circle, like he lures him out.
Yeah.
And then there's that switch in the eyes to the demon eyes, which I liked. And then he yanks him out and pulls him out of the circle and away. Now, this was kind of like the end of Blair Witch when they're standing in the corner and Heather's brother hears Heather and he's just like, "Heather, what's going on?" But only he can hear it, and that's why he turns around and gets yanked off. That's
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
That's what it reminded me of.
You know, these movies and those scenes always give me an opportunity when I'm sitting there to think about, like, what would I do in that situation?
Right.
And you often wonder, like, if you knew that you were in a fucking holy circle because there's a demon on the outside, and then you see something extremely personal to you,
I would not believe it was real.
right? I mean, God knows I haven't been in this situation,
and I know trauma makes you can fuck with you big time. But I gotta believe that just be like, I know that's not real.
Are we supposed to believe
before
there's a hypnosis thing going on there?
Well, I think so. That's what I usually chalk it up to. But I also got to believe, like, before this day, I didn't think demons were going to come try and kill me with an app. So, and I see that's happening. So maybe that is my brother. So at this point, everything's up in the air. Probably.
But you guys don't do that. You don't go like, well, what would I?
No, I'm constantly thinking like,
I think
what
about
would
it.
I do?
Yeah.
You think you'd fall for it?
No.
I don't.
I mean, you think you'd be? I mean,
it depends on how deep the
you're like,
brainwashing is going. You know,
Yeah.
I am not stepping out of this fucking circle because this is where you got to remind me, because maybe I was starting to nod at this point. Did that circle? They made a whole hullabaloo about why we need to use it, and we're going to delay the demon. It can't get to you. Just stay in the circle past your death time.
If at least one person
And
does it,
as long as you go like even a second past, you'll have broken the curse. How he knows this, I don't know. He just kind of
he's just guessing. It's like, I don't know.
But that circle really doesn't work for anybody, right? Like they basically like, did it?
No, it worked. He stepped out of it.
Yeah, you see the demon's cloak rubbing up against it, and it starts catching on fire.
I mean, but like for any character, it's like basically we have a circle, and almost immediately one dude leaves, then she goes to follow him, and then the priest goes out, and I'm like, what the fuck was the point of having this goddamn thing?
The priest is gone. The priest is just done. Like, we don't see the priest again for the rest of the movie. I don't know where he ran off to, but he gone. Which is, they're just, I mean, at this point, they're just acting like dumb characters. Because if they don't leave the circle, we don't have a movie.
Right.
Yeah, they have to do the dumb horror movie thing at least a little bit.
They do it a lot in this movie. I've never seen more people walk towards a black hole than the people in this movie. Like, oh, there's something I can't see in there, and it looks scary and dark. I'm going to walk towards it and check it out. Happens so much in this movie. I don't understand it. Like, they're in the bathroom, and he saw the legs walking through the walls under the stall.
Oh,
and he
that's
didn't
a scene.
immediately run the fuck out of there. Fuck that. That guy's an idiot. That guy deserves to die. No way. And that was like 3 other creepy things that happened just before that. And I'm like, no.
Well, not only that, just like take the ghost element out of it. Are you gonna talk to any stranger in the bathroom?
No.
That's how it starts.
If someone's crying, I'm like, sucks to be you.
Not my business.
No.
Not my business.
We're in a hospital. I'm just like, he must not be feeling well.
There's a number of reasons.
Nurse
yeah. It's like,
and be like, someone's crying in there. Go help them.
In a hospital, there's a number of reasons for someone to be crying in a bathroom. Just so not your job to get involved. You know,
you kind of go, that's your personal thing.
Yeah.
We're all
I'm not that
horrible human
concerned
beings,
about
probably.
everybody else. Colin, if you were crying in the bathroom, I'd be like,
you'd be out the door. No, yeah.
And especially, like I said, they see him walking through walls and I'm done.
Well, you at least know to leave people to their fate. So that way, the whole.
If someone goes if someone is crying in the bathroom, they purposely went to the bathroom to cry.
Yeah, so you just let them have their space.
In the bathroom.
If they wanted help, they'd stand in the hallway and cry.
Right.
Not in the bathroom.
That's what I do.
Yes.
We were scouting for a movie once at this place. We had somebody showing us around, and they took us into a room, and there's a lady in there like who was crying. She must have been like distraught over something, and so she left. You know, because we're still being shown like, yeah, you can use this, you can use this.
Oh, God.
So then they're like, yeah,
So
let's go to
awkward.
the next room. That was the room she went to.
No.
I think eventually there were 3 rooms where we just kept on following the guide,
no.
and it was like
You know what?
I'm
She
like,
thought
this poor
you were
woman
ghosts.
couldn't
They're
get
like,
away
these
from
people
us.
are haunting me.
Yeah. I'm like, it's probably the worst experience of her life.
Jesus.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Were you not just like,
Well, you're like, maybe we should. I
by
didn't
the
say
third
anything.
room, were you just
What do you-
like, I don't think we should go in there.
Yeah, it was just kind of. Well, no, but it was just kind of, like, man, I feel really bad. For
You know
her,
what? She should have just gone to her car.
Yeah,
You know,
well,
after the
I mean,
second time she ran
Unless
into
she
you
was,
guys.
supposed to be in one of those rooms.
she just thought she was finding a private place every time. I think, oh, it's terrible. Okay, so in the end, Chekhov's Narcan does come into play because
well, Matt,
Quinn.
Matt dies. We gotta he gets pulled out of the
He's
circle.
so
and-
lame.
It doesn't.
Matt's
so
the guy
lame.
that she meets at when she goes
Phone
to
store.
see the phone. Yeah,
Yep.
and he's like, I have this thing going on too, and then they team up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he dies.
So he
Yeah,
does.
he gets hit by a car.
Yeah, he does. I kind of liked him.
I liked him too. I just like this was a slight little Final Destination tease for a second here with his death, and then it was like, no, that's just the end.
Yeah.
He's just getting hit by a car. But the way it was like staged, the way he was like running out and then he like tripped or whatever, I was like, oh, so something wild's gonna happen
Yep.
here.
It's
And
like,
then,
oh, where's the sign?
Yeah.
where's the nail that's gonna go into his eye as he's
Yeah.
falling?
There was an earlier scene because you're talking about pedestrian and street behavior. I believe when Quinn had seen, was she looking at the tree where her boyfriend or where the other guy had hit the tree and been, would have been the impalement for the other girl, and she's like wandering around, and we know, or maybe it was that girl, and she only had so much time left on her clock, and she was like standing in the middle of the street, and I'm like, this is going to be one of those things where she gets hit by a car. Wasn't it at the beginning? It was.
That was the girl with the
at
cold
beginning.
open, yeah.
And I'm like, why are all these people walking around the street? Like at some point, you're in a movie where your countdown clock counts down. You're going to get killed here.
You know what I thought was going to happen with her and her drunk boyfriend is that I thought she would get out of the car because he was drunk and walk,
hit by
and
another car.
he would hit her.
Oh.
Just because he was following her, trying to talk to her in the car.
Right.
I'm like, she's still going to get killed by a drunk driver. He's just going to drive up on the sidewalk and hit her. I thought that's what was going to happen
Yeah.
because she thought she'd be safe getting out of the car. But
Well, see, that would be
something.
interesting. Like you deviated, but then it's going to come. This is a Final Destination thing. It's going to come back around and
Yeah,
get you.
Uh-huh.
somehow you end up in your final destination.
Right,
And they
which
took
is
that
what
movie.
it
They
should
taught
have been.
already.
Like when Matt got hit by the car, I expected a character we knew to be behind the wheel. I was
Oh, yeah.
expecting Tom Segura to be behind the wheel at that point, and then Tom Segura joins up with the group.
who was driving that car?
No, we don't
There
know.
was no one,
No
right?
one.
Because they don't have extras in this movie.
No,
they can't
don't.
even have someone driving
no
the car.
idea. No one
whoops.
checked. No one cared.
So
Yeah.
someone
Boom.
killed a guy
Yeah.
and they
Sorry,
just let him.
and they walked
just
away.
let him walk.
Let's be real. It should have been the guy driving the Lexus.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably.
It should have been.
That would
That
have
would
been great.
have been. That would have been.
But then they would have had to pay that actor to come back, Holly, and
That would have been a good little wrap.
That's too much money.
Jesus.
That's what I wanted it to be.
it would have been better than the
good.
actual coda we got to this movie. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Okay, so Quinn dies. She gives herself. Oh, I forgot that.
This is where
I forgot that she has a sister.
She's just
Yeah.
a
in this
Which
movie.
is a whole
It's
thing.
The girl from Annabelle Creation,
And
the blonde girl
Geostorm.
from and Geostorm, right? Is the
She's got a
sister.
great list going.
Nice.
She's got like a whole plot that we're not going to cover, and
It's dumb.
because it's yeah.
pointless.
the thing is going to get her in a couple seconds. So basically,
Well,
to break
well-
the curse, Quinn's like, "I'm going to fucking shoot myself up." Right?
Hold on.
Did she shoot herself up to kill
Yeah.
herself?
Hold on, because we had we get into a little bit of territory where questions we had before we saw the movie, because we're just like, all right, it's a killer app, and once your time goes down, you're done. So some of our first questions were, well, what if someone tries to murder you before your time goes off? Like, what happens then? Like,
Right.
what are the rules of this? Like,
Right.
do we get any of this? And so we get some answers to those questions, because that's what we were curious about.
Yes.
Because they try and murder Peter Facinelli, the doctor, the rapey fuck, as she calls him,
Yeah, times up, you rapey fuck.
Yeah.
Like they couldn't hit you more over the head with
Should have
that.
said hashtag
Yeah.
times up.
Yeah.
you
I'm
rapey
sure it
fuck.
was in the script.
It might
Hashtag.
have been. Yeah. But they do try and murder him because she's testing out a theory here, which is it's smart. Like, this is the things that, obviously we thought of and we want to figure out. It's like, what happens if someone tries to murder him? Because he's got the app and he gets demonically pulled away from the, situation so that he doesn't
can't
get murdered.
interfere. Yeah.
Right. So then she figures out from here, well, the demon's keeping him away because if he gets murdered, the demon gets defeated. Like, she's got a theory, she's testing it, and she's going with, her empirical evidence at this point.
Yeah.
So she figures somebody must die. There's something to this theory that somebody must die in order for it to beforehand, in order to break the curse. That's why she
How
goes
does
into
she die?
She kills herself with an overdose of drugs.
3 times a lethal dose of morphine is what she
Right.
says
Yeah.
when
Okay.
she's
Right,
talking
yeah,
to Peter
yeah.
Facinelli.
Yeah.
So the Grim Reaper turns to stone at this point. He
It's a demon.
screams
It's not a
himself.
Grim Reaper,
Okay,
it's a demon.
the demon screams itself into a thing that
dust.
breaks up and turns into dust.
Right.
And you're like, wow, okay, she killed herself and the demon is dead. And then our heroes, because she has written cleverly on her arm, inject the Narcan here.
Yes.
Her sister finds the Narcan, gives her the shot, and brings her back to life. And at that point, I was like, holy shit, Narcan is like the reagent from Reanimator. It brings dead things to life. I didn't know that it could do this.
But it does. Like,
That's amazing.
that's Narcan. Like, that's
It doesn't bring you back from the
it-
dead.
From the, basically?
No.
Oh, come on.
I guess it depends on how you're defining dead,
I'm
like,
She's
defining
dead enough.
dead is
Like,
dead enough to
well, there are people
kill
whose
the Grim
hearts have
Reaper.
stopped, so they're technically
So
dead
they're
that
dead,
come
and
back
they bring
being
back to life.
defibrillated.
The
Like,
Narcan, you work in
You can't-
news. You've
yeah.
seen this
it
enough.
doesn't.
No, that
it
is- that
stops
is-
an overdose, but you're still alive. You're not dead at that point.
Oh,
when the
it's a
thing
few
brings-
seconds.
I said it depends on your definition of dead because people's hearts stop all the
apparently
time.
The definition of dead is
true.
good enough for the demon.
Yeah,
That's
so
what
I'm
I'm saying.
assuming
And when
her
you get
heart
a
stopped
demon
and,
who's
you know.
like,
He's not going to be. I would have.
not
I would have
satisfied,
laughed.
yeah.
I would
He's
have.
like,
I
I'm
would have laughed
hanging
my
out
ass
here
off if he
'cause-
was like. And poked her. a little
Poked
bit.
her.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
goes
yeah.
silent.
He
There's
puts
no music or
2
anything.
fingers down to feel for a pulse.
He grabs his
and looks
stick.
at his
He's
watch,
like,
pulls his sleeve up to look at his watch.
Yeah.
Something. I
That's
would
what I
have
want.
died.
That would've been hilarious,
I would have
actually.
absolutely died if they'd done that.
You know what? They were goofy enough up until this point. They might as well have done
If they
that.
put
you
that
know?
in this Blu-ray as a deleted scene, bravo! I'll buy that Blu-ray if they do that.
You're buying this anyway. Oh, wait, don't tell us yet. Don't confirm it till the wrap-ups. Okay, so, yeah, I mean, that means that she comes back to life, fully restored. Her sister is
No
saved.
damage whatsoever. Her sister is saved.
That the dude, not an actual boyfriend, but potential boyfriend, he's still dead.
Yep.
And Peter Facinelli is going to jail.
Apparently,
Yes.
That's right. Just desserts.
Sure.
yeah.
So thank God. Except,
Uh-oh.
that's right, on her phone, she is horrified to discover
The software has been updated.
with Countdown 2.0. Oh no, cut to black.
This could go on forever.
That's what they're hoping
The
for.
hint of a sequel. Well, it's not really
Oh,
a
yeah,
hint.
got to.
Yeah.
That's like a, hey, we're doing Countdown 2.0. It's telling you the title right there.
It is.
Yeah. I'm actually, I
Your
don't know
death
if
has
I'm,
been updated.
I don't know if I'm happy that Unfriended didn't go with Unfriended 2.0 and actually went with,
Dark Web.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it better or worse? I didn't see 2.
No,
I'm
I
like-
mean you can't really go with 2.0. This one could go with 2.0.
2.0.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Well, that's not all there is to the movie.
No, there's not.
No.
That's right. You think it's
No, because
over
I saw a
and the credits start
preview
rolling?
where Tom Segura died.
Oh, really?
Oh, I saw there's a shot in one of the trailers where Tom Segura's looking over his shoulder ominously at something that is behind him. I'm like, well, we didn't get that scene, so it's obviously coming up at some point. I was like, this is gonna be an after credits scene.
And it
Didn't have to
was.
wait. Well, yeah, it's a mid credit scene. Yeah,
The most disappointing mid-credit scene because it doesn't
With his
actually
wife,
show
by
you
the way. That's
end
his
of
wife.
the movie or end of the scene.
what?
It doesn't actually show you the end of the scene. Lights go out and you hear thump 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 and all this stuff.
Yeah,
I was disappointed by that.
Pretty
You
weak.
weren't?
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I was like, really?
yeah. I
Yeah.
kind of wanted more from that. I'm just like, that's a cheap way to go out. Like, he didn't even get lifted up from his chair or anything. He's just like, lights out. That's the easiest scene to shoot. Just like
He might have shot that at his
just
house.
sit there and just like, all right, lights.
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually,
Okay.
we'll turn this off. You can come in, loop your
Right,
screen
and we'll be
later
good.
and-
Yeah, that is the easiest way out of that.
I wonder if that was an afterthought. Do you think they actually shot that during production?
Yeah,
Okay.
This movie's cheap. Yeah.
I think they did it specifically because it was Tom Segura.
You say this movie's cheap.
I know
How
how much it
much
costs
did
to
it
make.
cost?
You guys want to take a guess?
10
Okay, I'm
million.
going to go. Actually, he's probably right. I'm going to go with $4 million.
John?
10 million.
12.
$6 million. I feel like it doesn't look like $6 million at all.
Well, it feels like Jason Blum
feels-
could have done it for a lot less.
Yeah,
if
it
he got
feels
the
like,
same
it feels like
been
it
better,
was
I
done
think.
for a
probably
lot
there
less.
were digital effects and stuff like that. I mean, that's the thing I guess about it. Usually the Blumhouse movies used more makeup
Right.
effects because they were doing it really cheap. This one does have the money for CGI.
Blumhouse
Yeah.
would never show a car accident. They would never show someone
Right.
getting hit by a car. So
Right,
they
you
would cut
see
that
the
whole
front,
thing out.
you see the back.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't see someone actually getting hit. They
Yeah.
did, and there was every drop in the first 2 deaths that was CG. There's some CG to the dude, but most of that's like a practical him and somebody dude in a costume hanging out.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the hands
I feel like
are
I've seen
augmented, I think, probably.
$6
they're not
million to
like
be
other-
stretched for more. You know,
I think,
So-
yeah, you would think they could get more out of $6 million.
Yeah.
it feels like they could have
I've
done
seen
no
them get a
people
lot
in
out
this
of
movie.
3.
No.
I've seen them get a lot out of 1,
Yeah.
way back in the day. Way back in the day being in
is
10
Peter
years ago.
Fasinelli really expensive or something?
Maybe
Is he
that's
like
what it is.
$2 million of that $6 million?
Maybe it
or
is
something?
the cast, all these up and coming CW/ABC.
There's only like 7 people total in this movie.
hospital scenes.
Well, I know, listener, you're curious to find out if we would recommend Countdown to you. You don't know right now, right? I mean, I don't know how this is going to go. Looking around, they're all staring at me, but I'm not really positive. I have a guess, but well, we're going to find out. But first, we got to take care of.
Mailbag.
Yeah, that's right. We're going to do the most exciting part of the show that you've been waiting for. We're going to answer some of your mail, and to do that, we're going to have to summon our mailman, and his name is Igor. Bring us the mail.
Masters, the mail. I've got the mail. So many letters. Our followers are rising.
Why, thank you, Igor.
He's got a little scroll. Do you think it has his death date on it? Just like the app. Igor's got a death scroll. Sean's just playing with the squeaking chair right now.
Sorry, I was on a roll.
Well,
Yeah, does he know? Like, I bet
Igor knows
Igor's in
when we
charge of
all
that.
die.
That's what I'm saying. I think Igor
he brings
knows
us
when
the
we
mail.
die.
He takes care of us.
Because he's
He
got it
knows-
marked on a calendar.
Yeah,
somewhere. It's
this is
I
what
kill
I'm getting
Michaela
you.
this day. I kill Colin this day.
You better watch out, Sean. You're coming out.
I'm apparently coming up within the year.
He doesn't need a fucking app. He just decides that shit.
Yeah.
That
Ugh.
okay. I have a question about that. So, does the app decide that this is the day you're going to die, or was that always the day you were supposed to die?
I think it was always the day you were going to die.
Is that
I agree.
you think
Yeah,
so?
I think
Always
so.
the day.
It just knows when.
Yep.
But the whole thing is you're making a deal with the devil when you agree to the terms, right? So the devil's the one deciding when you die.
I
no,
think
he's
that-
just telling you.
He's just
when
telling
it
you
is.
what the date is. He's just
For
he's
the opportunity to fuck with you if you break it.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the whole deal.
That's
you can
what the
tell.
devil
You can
wants is to
see
fuck
when
with
you're
you.
going to die. Doesn't everybody know how much time you have left?
Right.
Everybody
and
wanna know
so
how much
because
time they have
that's
left?
I think that's his whole point. He's like he wants you to break it because he wants to fuck with you
Yeah.
and he wants to take you.
Mm-hmm.
Because you could go to like fucking. I think everybody who breaks it goes to hell personally.
yeah.
And I
Yeah,
think
the
if you-
demon
if-
takes you.
Right. I
that's-
think if you
yeah. So
play it
that's-
out, you can go
yeah.
wherever. But I think if you fucking break
So
it,
that's the deal. He's just like, do you want to know?
Yeah, exactly.
right.
I
Because if
gotcha.
you want to
Okay.
know, I get to fuck with you if you do anything.
It's like,
All
you know
right.
how Ancestry.com's like, do you want to know what heritage you are?
Yeah.
Just give us your DNA. We
Yeah,
won't
that's
do
it.
anything bad with it.
Yeah.
right.
Nailed
Look,
it.
we'll tell you where you're from, but we may frame you for murder.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Chris, wait. If you want to participate in this is the interactive portion of the show. And we hope you join the Freak Show family. We hope you follow along on Facebook,
Facebook.com/Saturday Night Freak Show.
on Twitter,
At Sat Freak Show.
by email,
Saturday Night Freak Show, yahoo.com.
or on Instagram at Saturday Night Freak Show. Write in. Hey, we'll read your stuff on the air.
Yep.
We're reading what Chris Eklund writes, and he says, I finished the entire Saturday Night Freak Show catalog.
Damn.
That's huge.
I'm not sure what to do now, so I think I'll start over again. Start to finish. Keep up the great work. You are a true national treasure.
Oh.
National, wow.
Thanks. I mean, I agree with you. Just like I think I'll start over and do it again. All right. Great.
That's dedication.
That
You
is
should.
dedication.
I mean, have you watched them all on YouTube yet? Do that. Go
Yeah.
to YouTube. Watch. them all
Have
on
you seen
YouTube.
all the movies? I know now. That's what you do. Or maybe
True.
he is like have seen everything.
Maybe. Yeah. Are you watching them along with listening to them? Because bravo.
Yeah, that is
yeah.
the.
That's
That's
a job.
huge.
Undertaking.
That's
yeah.
huge.
That is
And
another
listen
job.
to the Saturday Night Freak Show soundtrack on Spotify. I don't know if I have to send that out. Did I at some point?
What?
MF Mad, the keeper of the wall,
Oh, I did not know.
made an unofficial Saturday Night Freak Show Spotify playlist.
The Ballad of Harry Warden on there?
It's on there.
Better be.
Fantastic.
Right.
Everything
Awesome.
from every movie we've ever watched. It was an
Damn.
amazing undertaking.
That's
The keeper of the
awesome.
wall and the keeper of the playlist.
About tonight's movie countdown, Carson Snar said, aside from you guys talking about it, I've never heard of this movie.
Are you here, Carson Snar? Like, because we have some international people. Like, are you in this country? Like, where are you?
Yeah, I wonder what
Uh-huh.
the advertising's like.
I'm curious because I'd like to know if it's not reaching you in some part of the country.
Well,
Let us know.
I know everyone keeps talking about the lighthouse. We don't have the lighthouse right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, not
I have it in Naperville.
yeah, it's this is the second weekend of the Lighthouse as we're recording this. We
damn.
still don't have it. I want to see it.
Well, I
It's
better see it this weekend
expanding
before it goes
out.
away.
Yeah. JD Calabrese says, honestly, I'll probably wait until this movie's on VOD. The only reason I've heard about it, besides you guys, is because comedian Tom Segura is in it.
Yes,
Yeah.
there you go. That would be the other reason.
Andrew John writes in and says, I'm seeing this strictly because Tom Segura is in it.
There you
He's
go.
the best, and I'm excited for this episode.
It's pretty funny.
He's pretty funny. He's a funny guy.
he's Sean. You're definitely right. He is trolling the IMDb trivia.
He's got to be.
Did you see the one about the bottles of water?
Yeah.
That's totally a joke.
Yeah.
Like there's one where it says like what did he say? World renowned actor Tom Segura
Yes, yeah.
set the record for like 28 bottles a day of water drinking on set, and he said, and it'll never be broken in our lifetime.
Yeah, it's like,
that's
he
in the
went,
trivia
he got
section.
IMDb Pro, and he went on there and altered the trivia section.
Go look
of the
at it,
movie.
listener.
Because
It's
it's all
pretty
about
great.
him, and it's just like, yeah, he wrote it.
Yeah, there's like
had to have.
and the spoiler one was something like, did you know he's going to get murdered at some point
Right,
or
he's
something
like,
like, that?
he, could
Yeah.
be, he wanted to die in this movie because he wanted to show that he could die as well as he kills, like in comedy wise.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And
it's
that
like,
was
that's
under
gotta be him.
That was under the spoiler section of the
Yeah.
trivia.
All right, yeah, that's definitely.
Nice.
I'm like, wow,
And that's all. It's like 12 things like
yeah,
that, and that's
pretty
it.
great.
Well, Michael Whitaker writes in and says he thinks that Michaela's punishment for sending us to go see this movie should be that we make her watch it again. Unless she liked it, then just scarlet letter her for a year.
All these people judging a movie that they haven't even heard of.
I know. Sean Rogers says he'd make her watch No Holds Barred, but that would be a punishment for normal people.
Already did.
No one's gonna ever let me forget No Holds Barred.
That's right.
All these people that watch wrestling hate when I bring a wrestling movie. I don't get it.
She brought No
that's not
Holds
a
Barred.
wrestling
We've
movie,
done an
that's an
episode on it. Finding Cullen Milligan. God damn it.
Say it 3 times fast.
Finding Cullen Milligan, I want to get it right,
Finding
said
Cullen
the
Milligan.
punishment must fit the crime, so she should have to watch Manos, The Hands of Fate.
Ooh,
This is far from the worst thing we've watched on this podcast.
Far
People are acting like
A little
I'm
suspense.
committing some sort of war crime with this movie.
I'm gonna bring
know, that's-
Manos just because we've brought it up for 6 years and we have not watched it.
Ugh.
If it gives Colin shivers, I definitely want to bring it.
Oh god.
Torgo is, yeah.
I
Okay,
think people
um,
underestimate my tolerance for bad movies.
Well, no
I think they
shit.
do.
No,
I
I
think
feel
they're
like I'm
underestimating it.
challenged and have to take you up on that. About our episode on Halloween 2, Travis Legler writes in and says, hey, it's still Leap. Oh, we watched the TV cut. That's right. Sean forced us to watch the TV cut of Halloween 2.
did.
We didn't actually watch Halloween 2.
Right.
Travis Legler says, hey, at least the TV cut is still leaps and bounds better than Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, so there is a silver
Yep.
lining here.
I agree.
Okay.
I disagree. I love Rob Zombie's Halloween too.
But you like it more than the actual Halloween
No,
2?
but
Halloween 2
he
Prime?
said the only thing about it is at least it's better than Halloween.
Talking about
But,
the TV cut.
but it is better than how. Okay. Michael Whitaker says, I'm not entirely, or he says, this is not entirely the same as a TV cut of Halloween 2, but there's a clean version of Clark Griswold's meltdown in Vacation that clearly was an alternate take and not a dub over.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if he's still playing or not, but it was shown the one time on Comedy Central.
Oh, I'd like to see that.
That's cool. I like
Just a
it when
clean
they
version.
do alternate takes
That's
instead
funny.
of just like
instead of just
dubbing it.
taking out,
Yeah,
bleeping all the.
yeah.
Yeah, you do
Yeah.
the TV safe
interesting.
cut.
Tell us about more censorship on TV.
Yes.
It's always entertaining.
Yes, your funniest censorships.
Fresno Film Buff writes in to say, because we dropped information bomb, a knowledge bomb on people. Fresno Film Buff writes in and says, Donald Pleasance was on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
Yes, he was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the things you won't know unless you watch the TV cut of Halloween 2. on
Unless
the
you
show.
listen to the Saturday Night Freak Show.
That's right.
That's how that goes.
Talking about the
That's
TV
right.
cut of
Things you
Halloween 2.
won't know unless you. Okay. Lifeguard. Oh, this is about our episode on Angel. Remember that movie?
Yes.
Lifeguard 88 says, on my job, I need a lot of stuff to listen to, so I've been working my way through all the Holly and Michaela episodes of the Saturday Night Freak Show. However, this, Angel, was the first episode where I hadn't seen the movie and got me interested enough to go seek it out on YouTube for a watch. I'd always seen it on rental shelves, but never gave it a viewing, but I wish I had. I told my wife about it, and she wanted to give it a viewing, so I bought the standard edition of it, standard definition version of it on Vudu for our next movie night. Thanks.
That's awesome.
That's awesome.
Bravo.
I know, that's a love story right there.
It really is.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's what I tell everyone to go back. Like, start when Holly and Michaela show up.
That's
Like,
right.
that's the best time to start.
That's
I think.
right.
If you want to venture back, fine. But
I am
start.
just tickled that people listen to the movies that we talk about and go seek them out and watch them.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll be seeking out Countdown after tonight's episode. You don't know.
You never know.
We will check the box office next week and see if
See what
that's
kind of
true.
effect we had.
Hey, if it's low enough, we will have contributed a decent amount,
Very
guys.
true.
We might be able to,
$1,000.
we might be able to figure out the percentage we contributed
Yeah, I know.
if it's
When
low
we get
enough.
to hit up STX and be like, you should be like, promoting your shit
Yeah.
on the
through
Saturday
us.
Night Freak Show.
Yeah.
Well, I know it's after Halloween for you people listening, but it's pre-Halloween for us recording this. And so Nick Siebel writes in to say, I'm watching the underrated 80s rock horror movie Trick or Treat. He says, I love this movie. When I was a kid, my parents had this on VHS. It's got a great album by Fastway. It's still one of my favorites. Exclamation.
Colin, how do you feel about Trick or
Exclamation.
Treat?
Well, you have to go back and listen to our episode on Trick or Treat, now available on YouTube. That's right, for Halloween.
Pre Holly and Michaela.
Well, I offered tonight, like, you got
I
to
was
come
gonna
over
say,
and watch this movie.
Only Colin is on that episode as far
Yeah.
as people from the current lineup.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
Saturday Night Freak
I
Show.
wish I could do Trick or Treat again.
You know
Can
what?
I just delete
Let's-
that episode and we do it again next
We have
year?
mentioned
Colin,
that.
well, let's
We
talk
have
about that
mentioned
off
that
mic
multiple
because there's
times,
some-
and you
I
said
think-
no.
We have to.
It's like
tempt
destroying
him.
a
We have to
historical
tempt-
document.
I don't say we delete it. I just say we do it again. But I think we have to tempt him with something he really wants to do.
Well, that's
We have,
the one.
we have asked to do that
Bless you.
before.
I think we have to tempt him with Trick or Treat.
Every Halloween, I want to bring that movie
And we
back
have
because you
to let
guys
him go
haven't
first.
seen it.
Hey, we've covered
like,
movies that are
I've seen
reboots. We can reboot our own podcast, right?
Right? We're rebooting.
We can call it a reboot episode and be like, yeah, we're doing it again with a new cast.
This is the best idea. I like it.
Oh my god.
We're gonna have to watch
The
Save
Burbs.
Somebody's bringing, or Save the Green Planet. We got to go through that again.
I miss Tango and Cash. I want to do that one again.
So
Will not count as another number for Stallone on the wall. It will not count. As
Damn it.
that's right. See, there's got to be rules. There's got to be ground rules.
well, we can figure it out.
So this brings us to the second most exciting part of the show, where you're going to find out whether or not you should watch Countdown, because we're going to go around the table and review it. We're gonna
Colin,
Yes, Sean.
Colin, what did you think about tonight's movie, the international sensation known as Countdown?
Well, that's optimistic right there, Sean. That became an international sensation by
I
the
was saying
time
the
you
fact
listen
that
to
it's
this.
international or a sensation.
I saw this movie in a theater that was packed with a lot of empty seats. I mean, so that's why I'm like, I don't think
It
anybody
got
knows
like
about
a
this.
third full, Colin.
Did it? Oh, that's right.
But they-
Because a
all
lot of
those
people
people
came
came in
in
late.
like 10 minutes into the movie.
A
It was
lot of
weird.
people came in
Jesus.
super late. At first, it was just like us and like three other people.
That's the snapshot in my mind is when the lights were
no,
on.
there was more, and
Damn.
but they seemed like they just wanted a space to hang out,
Yeah.
not a movie to watch.
Yeah. Well, that's probably the audience for this movie. It's like,
for sure.
there's something going on a Friday night. Let's go see it tonight. It's probably packed. Okay, I'm going to shock the shit out of you. I didn't hate this movie. When I say that, I'm coming with caveats, and probably this is ultimately going to be I'm not going to recommend it. But I didn't hate it. I thought it was technically proficient or competent, right? I thought the cast was okay. I recognize that it's doing a lot of horror tropey things. And I sat there going like, there's a disconnect between me. I'm 45 years old. I've seen all of this shit before. And there were times that I was sitting there going like, I don't know how many more times I can take a person wandering around in the dark with a flashlight,
Yep.
look, and I was bored out of my fucking mind because I'm like, just get to what happens next. And then it's like, I know what happens next. The fentanyl thing gets used. They got to kill somebody and bring them back to life with it.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I am not the audience for this movie, right? somebody who's like 17 years old and on a date, and this is like, they don't watch, they don't go back and look at anything that's ever happened before, may think this is the scariest fucking thing in the world, and they may love the shit out of it. And so to them, I guess I say, like, go with God. You may have a good time at Countdown. You probably will. Right?
Because if you go with God, you may be saved from the demons.
Because I was like, the makeup effects are, like, okay, that looks professional. This is, the jump scares. That's why I was asking you guys, did it work on? It didn't work on me. It worked on some of you guys. So it's like, okay, that means it's working. And the comedy, works with some people. I'm like, there are plenty of people who are going to like this movie. And this is where I sit there and go like, oh shit, I'm an old man. I am not one of you. I can't go there. And so for those of you who actually have seen other horror movies before in your lifetime, you're not missing anything by skipping the very perfunctory, by the numbers, right down the fucking, everything is like, you're just checking boxes, countdown. You're checking you're counting down to like, what was there? Till the time the movie's over, you're counting down.
Yeah,
to,
all the cliches. Yeah, I'm just like, I'm counting down to when this movie was over, and I don't have to watch it anymore.
Yeah. I can't recommend it on that basis. It's not like a great movie. It is probably a perfectly serviceable movie, though. I wouldn't warn if you're interested in it. I'm not warning you away from it. No, like, fucking avoid that with a 10-foot pole. It's like, no, you'll probably go and have a good time with it. It's just not, I'm past it. I can't recommend Countdown, so no, not a good, like, hey, you're breaking ground horror movie. There's nothing in it you haven't seen before. Sean, what did you think of Countdown?
You can't recommend it, but I sure can, because everything you said is true. And this is the ultimate disposable horror movie. You watch it and it's gone. And that's it. But while you're watching it, for me, I was entertained from front to back. It is. I can't claim it's really. It's right down the middle. I don't. It's kind of. It is a boilerplate horror movie in a lot of parts, but it does the little things that I like. We talked about certain moments where there's just a dude in a death is there in a cloak and a costume, and it's just a scene where he sees him in the hospital mirror, but he turns around and doesn't see him. And like, there's certain scenes in this movie that just like they worked for me. I like them. It's definitely nothing you haven't seen before. Absolutely nothing you haven't seen before. But you know what? It works as just being like a decent. A comfortable, like, it's entertaining. It doesn't go above and beyond. I don't know if it wants to. It doesn't. But for this premise, a killer phone app, it doesn't need to. I think it was perfectly entertaining. I was never bored. I had a good time with it. If you don't go see it, perfectly fine. But I think you should. I think you'll have a great time watching it in the moment. And if you forget it right after that, that's perfectly fine too. But I think it's a perfectly decent, disposable horror movie that I had a good time with. I recommend you go see it because I think you'll have a good time. And then you can just go on with your day and your life and never have to think about it again. But I think there is room for those movies to exist. I think this movie occupies that space perfectly. And I think it was a good time for me. So I recommend it. Holly.
Sean, you are absolutely right about this. Absolutely. Colin, you're right. It checks all the boxes. It's nothing new. It's not groundbreaking. There are parts of it that are not spectacular, but Sean, I totally agree with you. It's definitely watchable. I was never bored with this movie. It's a quick movie.
Yeah.
Moves at a good pace.
Hour and a half. Perfect.
Yes. I was never bored with this movie, which, considering it's all things I've seen before, I think speaks volumes. It's just a fun movie to watch. It's a throwaway movie. It's just pure stupid entertainment. You're gonna have fun watching this movie. I think it does have some creepy elements that I think are sufficient. I think the monster, ghost, whatever you want to call it. I think it works. I like the design. I think it's a there's problems with the script, but it's a fairly competent movie. Like it follows a plot, it follows a rhythm. The tone is a little off here and there, but I don't know. I thought it was funny in parts. It worked for me. And I also read a shit ton of reviews before I went today, so I knew exactly what I was getting into. And I was like, you know what? It's really not as bad as any of these reviews said it was going to be. I had fun with it.
Yeah.
And yeah, every single review said the exact same fucking thing. I'm counting down till this movie's over. I was not counting down till this movie was over.
I hate you and your review more than any problem I have with this movie.
I was like, this movie this movie being unoriginal. No, your fucking review is unoriginal.
Yeah.
Bullshit. So, you know what? I think it's a fun movie. You don't have to go see it. You're not going to miss anything if you don't see it. But if you're interested, it's a fun movie, and I think you should watch it. Michaela.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the things you guys are saying. I think that, like, I really expected this movie to be, like, offensive and, like, really make me, like, piss me off and be really bad. And, like, it's a really mild, inoffensive movie. Like, it's because because you know exactly what's going to happen. That's what makes it inoffensive, I think. I was expecting a Final Destination ripoff, and I am sad I didn't get that. Like, I was kind of hoping that since it was an app and since it would be so widespread, because a lot of people would have downloaded it or whatever, that we would get kind of like that opening scene in Maximum Overdrive where all the people are getting killed by, like, the machinery. Like, there's lawnmowers, there's sprinklers. I was hoping for, like, an opening thing like that with people all over the world getting killed by, like, just like, because you got if enough people have it, some people are gonna be dying at the same time. So I was hoping for like a montage of like, oh, in Japan, this person's getting fucked by this, and then like, but this movie, I'm thinking way too big for this movie. But like, I thought this movie, like, judging by the trailer, you think it's going to be a bigger scope of a movie.
Yes, and
like the scene that they show with like the doctors and all the nurses standing around in the trailer, that's one scene in the movie, and then you never see all those people together ever again. Right. I thought Peter Facinelli was good. I think he's a good scumbag. If I was doing this movie though, it would have been Tony Goldwyn. Like I love seeing Tony Goldwyn be like just a douchebag. So that's who I would have cast.
He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
I was bored at times in this movie just because it was so like, and then this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, and like the tonal shifts were really strange for me. Even if I did enjoy them, they didn't really make sense. This movie, in its direction and its editing, feels very amateurish to me at times, and I think that the actors are doing the best they possibly can with what they're given. But I'd like to see our lead in like a better written movie as a final girl. I think that would be interesting to see her do something like that. But I don't know. I don't think I can recommend it. I'm on the fence, but I don't think I can recommend it just because like you're perfectly fine without seeing it. So I don't feel like I need to tell people to go see it. Like if you want to go see it, go for it. But it is not Final Destination with an app. It's not that. Don't go in thinking that, because that's not what it is. So I don't think I can recommend it.
All right, so it's a split freak show.
Yep.
Split.
Right down the middle. All right. But it's not like a hard pass.
No,
I mean,
that's what I'm saying. I don't hate this movie.
I know. I'm surprised after like all the. It's got like it has a terrible Rotten Tomatoes
it's
rating.
Not that bad.
It's like it's not that bad. Like I've seen a lot worse.
We've all seen a lot worse.
Yeah.
We've watched worse.
It's mild, and inoffensive. It's bland.
Is it better than The Nun?
I haven't seen The Nun.
I haven't seen The Nun, but I'm going to say yeah.
Yes, it is. What about Wish Upon?
Haven't seen that either.
I'm going to say yeah.
What about Bye Bye Man?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely. That movie was terrible.
Okay.
So we're
I'm
above
just trying to
and
figure out where we are.
Those three you mentioned are like that is a specific subgenre of movie.
Which this one's in, I think, right?
Well, then it rises above
Yeah, okay.
those.
You're totally right, Sean, though. They are going for a Happy Death Day like vibe.
It feels like they
after.
like. That's what they want.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they like. That's what they're going for.
Yeah. All right, so there you go. That's Countdown. So next week, we're going to watch a movie that's chosen by...
Colin, what are we going to watch next week?
All right, so my Thanksgiving pick is coming. Okay, so we don't have to do themed stuff.
No, we don't.
But
We usually just do like Christmas and Halloween.
Yeah.
And then
I'm doing a Thanksgiving movie.
Ooh.
I'm doing the Thanksgiving slasher movie.
Thanksgiving.
No, the other one.
Oh.
Thanksgiving.
Apparently, Thanksgiving is not a feature. So that's why it's only like an hour, a little over an hour. I'm doing Blood Rage.
Oh.
Anybody? Blood Rage?
No.
Nope.
Okay.
No idea.
All right, then
Never seen
I'm
it.
curious how this is going to go
All
over.
right.
Just remember-
I expect it to be disgusting.
Well, maybe. Just
with a
remember,
name like that, I expect it to be.
that's not cranberry sauce. That's next week on the Saturday Night Freak Show. And until then, ladies and germs, the basement is going dark.